Hello everyone, my name is William and welcome to this sort of coding session. Really, I'm just gonna sit down and solve some common programming problems really. So I'm just gonna take off my headphones because I don't like wearing them when I'm talking to a camera. So but what we're gonna do today is it's like kind of like an evening coding session or whatever. And I'm just gonna try to solve some very common problems in programming, and so I am going to be. I'm just gonna test something real quick. All right, so I'm gonna be using something called rebel.it, where I can just sort of write in my code, and I'm going to be writing it in Python because it's very easy to understand. There's not a lot of complex syntax. As a matter of fact, I think it might be the easiest syntax you can learn. So even if you aren't used to programming, you should be able to follow along in this session. And either way, I'm gonna head over to this website called spoj.com, Sphere Online Judge, and in here there's a lot of computer science related problems that you can solve by basically receiving a input and then just outputting the result that you're supposed to output. And then there's as the name states, there's like a computer in the other end, the server that receives your code, runs it on a machine and tests whether the code is a valid solution, and then returns the result to you. So I'm gonna go. I've gone into under problems here. There's a list of classical problems, and I think I'm just gonna start off with the number one. This might be a very easy one, but I'm gonna make sure that I that the formalities around my solutions are correct. So I'm gonna go in here and read what it says about this problem. So you test the life, the universe, and everything. Okay. And your program is to use the brute force approach in order to find the answer to life, the universe, and everything. More precisely, rewrite small numbers from input to output. Stop processing input after reading in the number 42. And all numbers are input. At input are integers of 1 or 2 digits. All right. So yeah. So this is a very easy problem. Obviously, you just gotta take the input and print it if it's not 42, and then stop when 42 comes, and that should be very simple to do. First of all, I just want to mention that I'm not a professional programmer or anything like that. I'm just a student. I'm 17 years old, and I don't have a lot of experience, but I do know quite a lot about computer science, I'd say. So yeah, I guess just watch this as a relaxing entertainment or whatever. Just but yeah, let's get started and write this program. So I'm gonna use this called rebel.it, and yeah. So really, the solution is just to I'm just gonna use a while loop really, and then I'll say while not found, which is going to be a boolean variable that I'm going to declare just before this. So I'm going to say found is false. So we have not found the number 42 just yet. So and then while not found is just going to take an input. So I'll call it the input equals input, with some parentheses around it, because this is a method built into Python, and it just basically returns a string consisting of what is being sent to the console you're running it in. So on that we'll check if the input equals 42. And I think this is also smart. I don't know if this is the way it is in Python, but if you are at least in JavaScript, if you write two equal signs, it doesn't compare the type. If you write 3, it does compare the type. If we just write 2, then even if we convert this input from a string to an integer like this, an integer is just a whole number, I think that's what it's called, then it would be able to take in the input, but this doesn't matter. It really is. It was just a thought I had. And if it is 42, then we will say that found equals true, because now we have actually seen 42 as an input. But otherwise, if it is not 42, we'll just print the input. And as you can see, if we actually receive 42, because we're not supposed to print 42 when we receive it, but even if we receive 42, it will not be printed, because this is an if-else statement. So if we run it, you can see that this should work. Yeah, this is not because of syntax error or whatever. I think I need to reload this. That's it, and then we'll run it. Okay, so if we put in like 33, it prints out 33. If we put in 67, prints out 67. And lastly, if we put in 42, it doesn't print out anything. It just stops, and this is what it's supposed to do, as I remember. I just meant to copy everything, so I'll copy all the code. I'll go into sphereonlikejudging.com and I will submit a solution, and I will choose the programming language, which is going to be Python, Python 3, and I will paste it in here, and I think I'm just going to say submit solution. And so now you can see it is compiling, and it got accepted. New achievement, you just solved the life, the universe and everything problem, so that's nice. It wasn't very hard, obviously, but alright, so that's quite nice. As you saw before, then we just solved this first problem. I'm gonna go to the next one, which is a prime calculator. So that's going to be interesting. Still quite simple to make. It's just some basic mathematics and some basic programming skills needed. So should be fun. Though still very basic. But once we get going with these problems, we should be getting some harder ones that will be a lot more fun. But yeah, let's switch back to the desktop. Yeah, so next one is this prime calculator generator. Not calculator, as I said before, it's a generator. Okay, so it's called prime1, prime generator, and the hashtag is number theory, which makes sense. So it says Peter wants to generate some prime numbers for his crypto system. Makes sense, it could be a crypto system like RSA or something like that. Obviously RSA, because it's but I suppose other crypto systems use prime numbers as well. But anyways, help him. So we need to help him, and your task is to generate all prime numbers between two given numbers. The input begins with the number t of test cases in a single line, where t is less than or equal to 10. In each of the next t lines there are two numbers, m and n. Where there's some okay, and they're separated by space. And for every test case, print all prime numbers p such that p is greater than or equal to m, or less than or equal to n. Alright, so just gonna reread this to make sure I understand it. Alright, great. So hope everyone understands what this problem is about. What we're going to do is I'm going to first of all create a new file, and so this is going to be done like this. In rebel.it we have created a new file. They do make some really odd names, as you can see up here. Yeah, so I'm going to change that to be spy #2, so that it is a systematic way of naming my files. Alright, so first of all, I think I'm going to make a function that checks if a number is a prime number. So we're going to call that is prime, and by the way, this is the way that you define a function in Python. You use define or def. Actually, I'm going to call the argument x because I think n is more used for like an amount. So we're going to check if x is a prime number, and let me just think about it. So so the definition of a prime number is obviously that it can only be divided by 1 or itself, and therefore we need to test all numbers I suppose that what you should do is we write a for loop. This might not be a smart solution, but we might change it later on for I in range and then x, and as a matter of fact, we don't need to check numbers that are higher than x divided by 2 plus 1, because they're never going to be, x is never going to be divisible by a number that is higher than half of itself. That makes sense. So we can check this. So x divided by 2 plus 1, and the way we check if a number is, if x is divisible by the number, is by using the modulo operator. Not sure how to pronounce it, but it's modulo is basically returning the rest after dividing. So we will say x modulo I, and if that equals if that is greater than or equal to 1, and I think also we can obviously skip 0, so just test, we can also skip 1. So it's greater than or equal to 1, then we know that x isn't a prime number. Then we will say return false, and then we can basically just say that if we haven't returned anything, if the return basically means just stopping the function, if we haven't done that in the for loop, then we know it's a prime number, so we can return true after the for loop, and this should basically work. So if we do something like print is prime of 5 and we test this, alright, so there's a syntax error on line 2. What does it say? Float cannot be printed as an integer. Yeah, alright, so we're just gonna say the integer value of that plus 1, and it says false. So 5 isn't a prime according to this, and I think this might be because we say +1. It still says false. Alright, so let me just debug this. This might be obvious, but so it's basically going to test 2. Yeah, it is obvious. Yeah, so well, obviously what I've forgotten is yeah, we need to say that if it equals 1, obviously, equals 0, sorry. If it equals 0, then there's something that, there's a number in the range we specified that actually, that x is divisible by, and that means it is not a prime number. So this should work. That's right. If we put in something like 11, true, and if we put in 10, it's false. So now it works. So that's great. And so so I think what we need to do now is we'll write a function that takes in a range and returns the primes in that range. Yeah. So this should be pretty easy as well. So we'll say find primes in range, and this takes a range which, if we look at the type of input, it should be start and a end. The range has, and then what we're going to do is we'll say for I in range start comma end. Is the end one included? It is included. All right, so we need to say end +1, and then because as you can see in here, then in this example where the start one is, the starting point is 3 and the ending point is 5, then it actually returns 5 because 5 is a prime number, and it is should be the ending point is included in the solution. So that's just why I say end +1, because when you run the range function, then it returns a list, I think, of integers, but it doesn't include the second argument in that list. All right, so and then we'll just say if is prime of I, then it should we will have a list. Just in a second, we'll call the list just to not override any system, any built-in functions. I mean that append I, meaning that we add something to the list, and the list is what we'll define here, which is equal to a list, and then after the for loop it should return the list. Something I'm thinking is we might not even need to return the list, because then we'll just have to loop all of it again. Maybe we should just start printing it in this function. I think that's easy, so we don't even need the list. So we'll just say in here, in the if statement, we'll just print I, and then to actually take in the inputs, we will say for we'll start by taking an n value. No, it's called, we just call it t. Right, so t is the amount of test cases, and it is equal to the integer value of the input that we get, because we know it's going to be an integer. And then we'll say for I in range t, it should run this function called find primes, and it should be, well, first of all, we are going to get an input. For I in range t, we're going to get an input. We're going to call the input just like in the other problem, that is equal to an input, but we actually need to define the start and the ending value, because right now we get like a string that looks like this. Don't know if you can see it, just going to zoom in. We get a string that looks like this, so it says this is a string that has a space included in it, and we need to ignore that space and only take the integers. So we will say integer of the input dot index no, with you can say index, then if you make these brackets or whatever they call after a string variable, you can specify which part of the string you want to access. And if you do like this and then the ending position, then if we say like 10, then we will take the first 10 letters or numbers in this string, first 10 characters you should say. Then what we can say is we can say the input dot index, which is a function or a method on every single string in Python, sorry, and we can say index of the a space, and then we should and then we just need a parenthesis, and the same goes for the end, which we can say like this, but this time the starting point is the index of the space, and that is actually +1 because we don't want to include the space, and then the ending point, yeah, that should just be the ending point. And this is the way to do that in Python. Just write a colon, and it knows it should take all the rest of the characters in the string, though it does actually invalid syntax, it says. So wait a second, that's invalid as well. Alright, so there's something wrong here. Oh, because this one needs to be here, I think. And yeah, that's it. So now it's working, and then we'll say find primes in range, and then the range should be the starting and the end point. And we also need to separate the solutions for every test case with a space, so we'll print a space, just print, well, nothing or whatever, so just print nothing, after we have printed all the solutions to every test case. I'm not sure if this is going to work because we might have to receive all the inputs before we start printing them, the solutions, but we'll see. So let's try to copy all of this and submit the solution. That's it, and let's see. So it's running right now. Okay, so it says time limit exceeded. So that's quite yeah, I know it's because that our algorithm isn't I'd wish that you can actually see some alright, so let's just see if we run it here. We run it. Let's see what it says. All right. Just trying to debug this really. So standard output is empty. So why would this be? So it says that M and N is so there's always 100,000. Well, not always, but there could be up to 100,000 integers that we actually need to check for each test case, and each test could be up to 10 test cases. So this is a lot of tests that we need to do. I'm not entirely sure how to do this in a smarter way, actually. Yeah, something we could do is in our for loop here, we could skip every second element, because obviously no, not here, right down here we don't need to check the elements that are divisible by 2, obviously, and that's every second element. So what we need to check is step. It says let me just find the range Python. Difference between each number in sequence. Okay, so I think we should just be able to say 2 like this. And yeah, I guess we should just test it quickly to see if it works. So we'll start out by taking an input. Let's just say we have one test case and the range is from 2 to 16. Alright, so something is clearly wrong here. Though I don't understand why it says runtime error when I tried it in here. Why doesn't it print anything? So there's clearly something wrong in our algorithm. I'm just trying to think of what it could be. this should be very simple. I should have planned this before just starting the recording. Should have tried it out. This is annoying. So I'm just gonna figure out what's wrong. Alright, so as you can see, I just tested it without this parameter and it actually worked. So I just need to make sure I use the difference between each number in the sequence. Alright, so I think maybe the problem is I need to just write 1 because that is the difference between each number. And then it, yeah, oh, I might run into some problems still because I think actually if I do the same again, but I write from 3 to 17. Okay, so it still works. It's a bit odd. Let me just try to do this one more time. Is this right? It looks right. And what if I do 5 to 17? It looks right as well. Okay, so this should make it go a little bit faster. So let's try to submit a solution to this problem one more time, and it is now compiling it and how it's running it. So this should be interesting to see. It says time limit exceeded again, and if we go into what is it called, idone.com. It's just a link I press on here where you can actually like see what it says when it has run. It says that standard input is empty and standard. I don't know what EOF is. Let's just see. End of line. It's a condition in a computer operating system when no more data can be read from a data source. No, I'm not sure what actually. But it clearly says that the runtime was 0.05 seconds. So it's definitely not that, which is the problem. Should not be the time. End of line when reading a line. I really have no idea. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that this might be because that we should first print it after it has accepted it or something like that. I'm not sure. This is annoying because, okay, but we'll write it. So we'll write the list equals a list quickly, and then we'll just append I to the list. So the list that append I, and then just return the list like that, and then we'll say the list, or we will call it primes just to give it a proper name, equals that, and then well, I don't know, probably make a global variable called primes, which equals a list, and then say primes that append. This will be a list of lists, an array, a 2D array, or that's also what it's called. And then we will say for in range t, which is also the length of the list called primes, we will for I in range length of primes index I. This should be a j because we cannot just use the same variable name for the two for loops. And we'll print primes index I index j, and then after this is run we'll print nothing. So I think I hope everyone understands what happened. So basically what we did is we just we have a large list consisting of smaller lists, which is what is being returned from this function, and we will just basically print everything from the primes list. And that is the way we do that is by looping through every list in primes, and for every element in every list in primes we'll print that element, and then for every list we'll also print nothing, just to make it separate, just to separate the output, which is one of the requirements. So if we run it, it should do exactly the same as before, but and then let's say 317, yeah, does exactly the same. So it's all good. Let's see if this works then. This is starting to annoy me a bit because this is a very simple problem, so it should be very easy to do. So now it is compiling and it is running, and we probably get some error again. Time limit exceeded. Alright guys, so I think I'm going to try something else. I'm just going to try to convert all of this Python code into Java code and see if I still get the error. So alright guys, as you can see, I have made a solution in Java. I've tested it, and it actually prints out the right solution when I test it. Though when I use it on the website, it just gives me some kind of error that I don't understand. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do exactly. Though I'm probably gonna be back in another video with an update on how to do this, because I've clearly made a solution. I just don't think it's fast enough. But yeah guys, I think this is gonna be it then. I cannot code anymore now. I'm too tired, and but well, I guess that if you enjoyed this video, then I have reached the goal of tonight. I have made someone stay better, and that's fortunate. So so thanks for watching, and I'm gonna go to bed now and sleep because I cannot code more now. I'm really fucking tired. I'm really tired. So I'll see you and in another video, and I'm gonna give you an update on this. So yeah, this should have been easy, but obviously it's I don't know. Goodbye.